time at this. There's a lot of disagreement in the way to keep Trump out of the White House. I understand that the hearings, I think, are still going on at this time to expose and give a complete reporting on the criminal actions that took place on January 6th. I wholeheartedly support and I respect what that is, and I respect the Democrats that believe in that. I personally, I've had to change my mind on some of that stuff. The idea, the liberal idea that like we create a better society, we put forward ideas for better society, and so people would rather have a better society than just support fascism. I no longer believe that, and I believe that some people will choose hate. That hate is a value to many. Um, for me, looking back at the Trump administration and the last months of it, looking at Trump using federal uh, federal federal task forces, BORTAC, which is a special unit of the Border Patrol that has trained with Delta Force in the past, FBI, HRT, and all that. He was using them to actually go in and he's using them to go in and do Gestapo work. In Portland, other liberal cities, it got pretty bad. And that was a part of Trump starting fires and then putting lighter fluid on the fire. And he could do that. He was talking about the military, and rednecks were talking about he's gonna send the 82nd Airborne into Washington D.C. and I remember thinking if he did that, how dangerous he would be. I remember Lafayette Park. I remember him going out there, and I think Meadows said that he didn't. He thought Trump was going to shake hands with the cops or something, and he didn't. And and he had his General Milley come out with the military uniform on. Milley apologized for that, and it was all about this militant stance and showing them who's boss. And he turned a protest into a riot, which is what he wanted. That's what Republicans want. They don't want to have a discussion about. They want to always have you look like a lunatic, and then use the military and the police to fuck you up and lock you up. That's the idea. It isn't about a discussion about climate change or a discussion of a reasonable nature. It's about violence. It's about suppression. Always. That's the way they handle. That's the way they handle things. Um, so Trump went out, and then William Barr lied and they didn't they didn't tear gas people. They did, and lied and said that they warned everybody to get back. And it was like reporters that said no, they didn't hear anything, or they heard it and they started shooting right after they gave the announcement. And I think there was a National Guard captain that said the same thing. I mean, they just lied. Then they made a situation that was at a one into a 11. You know, um, that's when I realized that Donald Trump was a true danger to public safety, and that this is a shit starter. This is a dude that starts fires. He is an arson. He's a person that uses violence and the fear of that to gain power and to maintain it. I understood that anybody that's trying to be in the middle with Donald Trump is an idiot or supports that. There's no way you can, because of what he's done. And we know with what he did with the Border Patrol and federal agents, he couldn't use the military after Lafayette. He couldn't do that because the military turned against him. Milley was talking about, he put out a policy saying if you were in the capital region, you had to wear a uniform. You couldn't wear your fatigues because he was so scared that Donald Trump would get a picture, a bunch of soldiers going to lunch somewhere, and say, "See, we're getting ready for national martial law." He was that scared of that. Trump thought he used the military because he thought the military was like the Nazis. They would just follow him. They didn't. And that was one of the true tests of our democracy. It's in the military, unfortunately, and they reacted appropriately. They did a good job. So we have this hearing, and this is where I'm going with this. That to me, it isn't enough to just say, "Well, Biden's in office. Okay, we're gonna do these things and make a better world." We can't do that. It's gotta be, in my mind, we've got to weaken the legs of the table that Trump was standing on at the end. That's what's important. If you go back to the Nazis, you've got to weaken the legs. You've got to weaken the positions those people had. Um, Trump is using Border Patrol, and now there's been a ruling recently. I think it was on June the 8th, that they're giving immunity to Border Patrol agents that violate the Constitution. Um, this is far beyond the border. They say federal. The original thing was Blivens versus 6 unknown named agents, 1971. Established that federal law enforcement officers that violate the Constitution can be individually sued and potentially be required to compensate their victims for legal actions. That's obvious. This also represents to me another example of how America socially, we're losing ground. They like to scream about transgender people and they like to scream about, grooming and all that. They don't talk about this kind of stuff. Of you actually making it where police officers can commit crimes and not be sued. And this is in the 70s when they recognized that this is a problem. That was a big part of making police officers more legitimate. If you commit crimes, you'll be held responsible for them down the road. This right here, I do believe some of the people, unknown people, who maybe hesitate to do what Trump said, maybe hesitate to do certain things that went too far, did it not because they didn't like Trump, but because they were worried about criminal prosecution and having to show cause, having to stand before a judge and explain their actions. I do feel some of them felt that way, and seeing this is a grim reminder that if you're on the left, it isn't enough to just rely on the government. That just by us creating hate crime laws and us creating mechanisms by which we can receive justice, that ain't enough. That ain't enough, partner. It's grim. It's grim knowing that Trump used those kind of people to do his dirty work. There's a lot of cops out here that they got houses, they got kids. They don't want to lose their house, they don't lose their shit. But if you're saying that there's no consequence, that's terrifying. And we know about Border Patrol raping women, and then they had like a Border Patrol serial killer or something. He got a bunch of them, raped a bunch of them. He killed a couple of them. We know about this stuff. Border Patrol it's been a mess for a long time. This makes it worse. Because what Blivens was saying that even if law enforcement does me wrong, and even if that agency says, you know what, we'll keep them on. So there's certain agencies there's agencies out here that if you can't prove they committed a crime, they'll keep your job. Unless you can get your license, they'll keep your job. And Blivens was saying that if that happens, you can still seek justice. Not anymore. Trump had what I call was a white supremacist all-star team. From Barr to Sessions, all the way down. Until the end when he got maniacs and he got fanatics. And I think that this right here, this goes in the fanatic book here. Supreme Court got this one wrong. Big time. And it's terrifying, the future implications. If Trump or someone like that uses this to finish what Trump started. Thanks for listening.